Hello there, and welcome to day 64 of the 100 Days Python Programming Challenge. My name is Fumi, and the topic for today is the request module in Python. Today, I will show you how you can make HTTP requests to interact with APIs and web services. So today, we'll learn how to use the GET request, how to access JSON response, how to make post, put, and delete requests, and how to handle errors, all using the request module. I'm excited. Are you excited? It's day 64. 64 days. Let's go. Hello there. And it's day 64. It's day 64 of the 100 Days Python Programming Challenge. And today is request module. What is request module? You might be thinking, what is that? It is used for making HTTP requests. It allows you to interact with APIs. Allows you to interact with web services. So we're talking about that today. Tomorrow we'll talk about API. We'll talk about web scraping and the rest in the coming days. But today we're talking about the request module. So I'll show you how you can make HTTP requests, how you can send data with requests, how you can work with JSON responses, and how you can undo errors and expression. So this is a packed tutorial. So this is the website for requests that you can read the documentation. I always advise to read the documentation. Even though some programmers don't read documentations, you can read documentations. And this is the website that we would be using for our tutorial. So it is a free, fake, and reliable API for testing and prototyping. You should always check if you are allowed to perform some of these activities on some website, because some you might not be able to perform it because you don't have permission, some because it's not allowed. So you should always be careful where you want to do all the stuff to, and you should maybe always do it to your personal website and all. So the first thing that we will do is to import or install the request module. So if you don't already have it installed on your system, you can install it by using pip install, and then you have to import it into your Python script so you can be able to use it. So then we want to make a GET request. What is a GET request? We want to retrieve data from the server. We want to get information from the particular website. We want to get whatever information you want from the website. So let's send a GET request to a URL. So I would have response is equal to request. What is request? Request is what we imported. Request dot, what do we want to do? We want to get. So request dot get. And then we have our parentheses. And then how do we want to get? We want to get from the website that I showed you now. So this is the link to the website. I can post it here so you can see what we want to get. This is the post that we want to get from this website. So this is our response equals to request.get. And then we want to get the status code. I don't know if you're aware of status code and when you're using request. When the status code is 200, that means the request is successful. When it is like 404, 503, and the rest, it's not successful. So then let's print out the status codes. We want to be sure that we're able to connect to this website. So we have our status code, and I would show you how you can prevent your code from failing. That is, if you don't have permission or the status code is wrong, instead of your function or your code failing, then you print out a message. I'm always a fan of not allowing your code to fail, but instead print out like a really good message so your user knows that there is a problem. So then we want to print out the text from our website. We would use the response.text to get the status code. We use response.status code. To get our text, we use response.text. And if I run this, we should have this information. We should have it right here. And when I run, see, we have our status code 200. Everything works fine. And this is our data, our user ID, our ID, the title, and the body. User ID, title, and the body. So this is how you make a GET request by using request.get and the status code by using response.status code. This is what is response? Response is our request.get and the URL. And then we want to get the data, we use response.text. Our response is what we got using the request. Like, do not get confused. Response is just the name of our variable. It can be anything. Request is what we imported. So next we want to make JSON responses. If the server sends JSON data, we can use the .json method to pass it directly. If you're wondering what is JSON method, do not worry. There's a video coming on soon when we will discuss about the JSON method. So just let me show you how you would do it if you want to. If the server sends JSON data, how you can use the JSON method to pass it directly to a Python dictionary. So still using our URL that we have here. And then I want to get the JSON. So I will have data equals to response.json. And then I would like to print the title and the body. So I would have data. And what is the data that I want to print? The data of the title and the data of the body. So response, our URL, our data is response.json. We're using our JSON method to pass it directly into a Python dictionary. And then what I want to print out is the title that we have here and then the body. So when I run this, we have our title. You see, it's kind of like a key and value kind of situation. So we have our title and then we have our body. So if the server is sending JSON data, we can use the JSON method to pass it directly into a Python dictionary. So we've made a get request. How do we now make a post request? A post request is when you want to send data to the server, often when you want to create or when you want to update a resource. And so still using the same URL, but now not with the one. Let me show you. So this is our URL. Let me put it in the browser so we can see. So see, this is all our post. And then I want to create or update the post. So then let's have our data. This is the data. So we have our title, our body, and our user ID. And then, when we wanted to get, what did we use? We request.get. So now that we want to post, we'll use our response, our request.post. So this is how we perform the post by using post request.post and then to where to URL and what information do we want to post? We want to post our data. Our JSON is equal to the data. So then now I want to print out the status code and then I want to print out the response. So if I print out the status code, I have the status code of 201 and then this is my response data. I added an image of status code so you can see we got the status code of 201. What does 201 mean? It means that our post was created. So see these are different status codes that you might get while you're working with request. Okay means everything is fine, you're able to create, you're able to your request was accepted, and this you don't have there's no authoritative information if it's a bad request, if it's unauthorized, forbidden, not found, and the rest. So these are the status codes that you have to take note of while you're working with requests. So this is how we're able to post the request. And you see we got a status code of 201, which means our request was created. So next, what we want to do next is to send parameters, send data with parameters. We can send data using the query parameter in a GET request. So let me show you what I mean. So still using our URL and then our parameters, the parameters that we would like to get. I have my user ID dot equals to 1. Remember, we have our user IDs here, so I want to get the one that it's 1. And then my response, I'm sending a parameter in my get request. So I don't want to get all the information that is there. I just want to get the one that contains the parameters that I'm sending. So I would have my response equals to request that we imported dot get, and then my parentheses, where do I want to get it from? I want to get it from the URL. What condition am I adding? I'm adding my parameters. And what parameters do I want to get? My user ID, that is 1. And this is the name of the variable of the parameters that I want to get. And then I print the status code to be sure that it works, and then I want to print my response. So this is my status code, and then this is my JSON. So everything that has a user ID of 1, it should get that for me. And see, we have that. All the ones with user ID 1, we were able to get it from our URL. Next thing is to make a put or a delete request. So put, we want to update an existing, while delete, we want to delete. Post, we can use it to create, and we're able to use that to create. While put, we want to use it to update an existing, and delete, we want to be able to delete an existing result. So now if I want to update an existing result, I want to use my URL with the ID 1. So my first post on this URL. And then what do I want to update? I want to update the user ID, the title, and the body, and other things. So if you see here, you can see that the title is usually like this placeholder text. So I want to update it, and I want to also update the content of the body for user ID 1. So then how would I do this? For get, we've used request.get. For post, we use request.post. For JSON, we can use request.json. So now for this, I would have my response equals to request.put, and then what again? The URL, and then my JSON equals to data. What is data? Data is my updated content. And then to test this, I would check the status code, and then I would then print out my response data so you can see it. So my status code is 200, it works fine. And then my data, you can see it has been updated. So then to delete is similar. Instead of request.put, what I will do is request.delete. And then what do I want to delete? I want to delete my URL. So this is my URL, and it is for the first post. You use request.delete. What am I deleting? I'm deleting this, and then you print out the status code, and we see that the status code is 200. So then what if you're not sure of if the status code will be successful or not, and then you don't want it to fail just because it's not successful, but instead I want to print out a message, or if you're working, you want to log a message that, oh, it was not successful. So then what is my URL? What URL am I trying to use? I'm using this. This is an invalid endpoint. I told you that this website is for you to test and prototype and the rest. So this is the URL that was created for this. And then if the status code, you can use it by using an if else condition, or you can use a try and accept. I keep talking about try and accept. Try and accept is very, very important. You should check the video on that. So if the request status code is not 200, I want to print that the request is not successful. And if it is successful, I want to print out that my request was successful. So I would have an if else condition. So if it is not 200, Is it failed status code is this. But then if it's now for the ones that we've been using that has been successful, let me place this here. And then if I run this, you see request was successful. So you can always check the status code to undo potential errors. So this is what we have talked about today. Showed you how you can use the get, the JSON response, the post, the put, and so on, the delete, and how you can undo error using the request module in Python. That is it for this video. Do not forget to subscribe, to like, and leave a comment. Let me know if you have any questions. And as always, the link to the Jupyter Notebook is in the description. See you tomorrow.